There's only one place you want to be on a Sunday night, and that's on Citi TV. Scorecard with me, Benjamin Nketiah. It's been a weekend of agony for some teams that were hoping for ecstasy. It's been a week of absolute joy for some who were looking at possibly going into a place of gloom. I'm talking about Borussia Dortmund in the Bundesliga. Remember that the Bundesliga went all the way down to the wire today, this weekend actually. Borussia Dortmund had a mountain to climb, basically with all their fans at the Signal Iduna Park. Bayern Munich, on the other hand, had an even bigger task of usurping Borussia Dortmund. In the end, Dortmund could not overcome their mental disabilities. In the end, they succumbed and Bayern took away the title. In the Premier League, after winning a title in the 2015-2016 season, Leicester City are heading back to the championship. It's quite an interesting story, if I should put it that way, but that's what has happened. The Bundesliga also had their own promotion stories and whatnot. It's been a very interesting week. There's the NBA playoffs happening, the Eastern Conference Final. The Boston Celtics are looking to become the first team in history to overcome a 3-0 deficit. So there's Game 7 at the TD Garden, but we'll look at Game 6 and exactly what transpired in there. There's Ghana Premier League action as well. So it's a loaded show. You should send in your thoughts. Let me know exactly what you think. What's been your standout moment of the season? Premier League fans out there, especially United fans, Chelsea fans, I'm sure you're happy the season has come to an end. Let's take a quick break or do a quick turnaround. We'll come back, I'll introduce my guest, and then we'll start talking. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. My good friends out here, Susu Graham and Coach Christopher Nimley. Gentlemen, what's going on?
It's been a good weekend.
It's been a very perfect weekend. And if you look at the fact that finally we also get some time off on weekend after next weekend. Officially the league is gone after the FA Cup. Then we'll also try and rest and re-energize ourselves for next season. But look, it's been a brilliant season. And what a way to end it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Teams like Leeds United just having 3 seasons.
Relegation Sunday.
And they've gone back to where they belong.
Yeah.
Leicester City, after all the good works, they've been relegated. Everton came this close.
Yeah.
Thanks to Doucouré.
Abdoulaye Doucouré coming through big time. He's been injured a lot of his time. So your standout moments of the weekend?
My beloved AC Milan just secured Champions League qualification, so I'm in a good mood. So that was it for me.
I like that. My standout moment of the weekend was basically watching the NBA playoffs. So Derek White, one of those guys who was never really high up in terms of the draft boards, had to play in the G League, came up big for the Boston Celtics, and they're on the cusp of something historic. Like I said, on the verge of being the first team in history to overturn a 3-0 deficit in the playoffs. So it was big for me. And then seeing Leicester City go down with all that quality, that was a little something for me. But I've become used to having them around. For a moment, I thought that we were going to lose.
Say Brendan Rodgers, I think he has a big part to blame. I think the period he was in, it was just very poor.
Ironically, he will be celebrating not having relegation on his resume, which is interesting. But let's start off with the Ghana Premier League, and that's heating up as well. Mediama Sporting Club looking to win their first ever title. Aduana Stars did something of an Arsenal in the Ghana Premier League, kept the top of the table on lock for a long time, and then lets it slip in the crucial moments. Let's get to our first games of the Ghana Premier League for today. Let's check out that Legon Cities versus Accra Hearts of Oak game. We'll do Aduana Stars versus Dreams FC as well, and then Mediama versus King Faisal. So it's back-to-back highlights of the games there. Let's check them out. Yes, so that's how the Ghana Premier League games broke in the weekend. Mediama Sporting Club still leading the league table. Aduana Stars slipping up yet again. Accra Hearts of Oak having a torrid campaign. I won't spend too much time on the Ghana Premier League. Time is fast spent. Let me just take your thoughts. Coach, Mediama looking to win a first title. Hearts of Oak losing again. Dreams FC beating Aduana Stars.
Mediama, yes. Look, the season didn't start that well for them. You remember they had my good friend,
David Duncan
in charge, and things really didn't settle. So for them to have resurrected themselves from a very bad start and find a way at the summit of the league, to be honest, I think they've done extremely very well. Hearts of Oak, the least said about them, the better. You You see, everything about Hasselhoff looks so bad. From the board to the technical team, down to the playing, but even down to the supporters. Everything looks so bad because there's no control. There's absolutely no control.
Yeah.
If that was Sababuedu, my very good doctor will be all over the place. He doesn't know what he's about. Now is a clue. He's played how many games and he's lost how many games.
Nobody seems to be saying it.
Nobody seems to be saying
They
it.
got what they wanted, so why would they
It was their decision to get him in there. So you see how bad it is. And to the supporters to look, let's call a spade a spade. I think they've contributed to Hasselhoff being what they are.
I mean,
at the moment.
chasing out, intimidating Matic,
and all
prevented him from doing his job.
doing his job.
Yeah.
You don't do that in this modern era. So it must be condemned with all intent. Again, look, let's call a spade a spade. This league is not competitive. This league is so far off the standard required to get it to be to where it should be. We are predicting games, we are predicting results of games, and they are all happening. I predicted them Adriana will lose against Dreams FC. They lost. I predicted that Chelsea will lose. They lost. I predicted that Hasselhoff will lose.
Yeah.
They lost. Look at the goals teams are conceding. Look, there's nothing absolutely competitive that we should all be proud about this league. So I don't expect Mediama, even if they were to win the league, I don't expect them to go and make any meaningful impact in the Champions League. So look, Mr. President, this is the box you've never ticked. In 4 years, you've just never ticked our Premier League box.
The most important of them all.
You've not ticked it. So you've not overachieved. It's there for everybody to see.
Let me just take your thoughts
honestly,
quickly.
I think we're at a situation where the teams who have something to play for are getting too easy a ride. There's no team that feels like, let me spoil their party. I think they are very okay to come and run around for 90 minutes, collect their appearance bonus or whatever and go home. I think, and it's sad to see, because you look at other leagues and a team, look at Mainz. Mainz had nothing to play for. And Mainz came and they spoiled Dortmund's party. In fact,
they played like they were the final.
Exactly.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
There should be no easy
the right
games
to be champions.
There should be no easy games, but it seems like this stage of the season, some of the games are getting a bit too easy. Because in Southampton, have not played well. You go to Chelsea, who've not lost at home whole season, and suddenly you get the win. I mean, maybe they played a great game. We didn't see the highlights, but more likely than not, Chelsea just decided that this game wasn't worth our effort, and it's very sad.
Let's get to a place where the action was more competitive, the German Bundesliga. And let's start off with that game between Borussia Dortmund and Mainz. It was at the Signal Iduna Park. You know how the Signal Iduna Park is probably one of the most iconic grounds as far as European football is concerned. Borussia Dortmund had one job and one job only. They were top of the table, I believe, by 2 points heading into the game week. Bayern Munich were looking or had their destiny in Dortmund's hands. In the end, Dortmund were down by 2 goals in the first 30 minutes. It was, a really bad showing for them and their fans. I'm not sure how they went home over the weekend, but let's check out the highlights of that one. We'll also get to the highlights of that Bayern Munich game. Welcome back. Coach, let me start off with you. Throughout the season, I've heard a theme that I want to dispute tonight, that Dortmund are an inexperienced side because of the players they have. We saw in our shot there Matt Hummels, winner of the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich. He's played in Dortmund before, so he went to Bayern, he's come back. Lots of experience. Marco Reus has a lot of experience, be it not championship experience. He does have some experience. Sebastian Haller is not a greenhorn. There are pieces in this team that, even Rafael Guerrero, 26,
Nicolas
Sula. There are pieces in this team that should have been able to galvanize them to a title, because clearly that is, I think this is one of the biggest disappointments in club history for them.
I think it is. Look, without a doubt, there's absolutely no excuse for what they did. They had everything in their hands.
Yep.
Win it. And you see, what made it even more painful is the fact that it was in front of their own supporters. The supporters did everything practically possible to get them beyond the finish line. I don't know whether it has got nothing to do with mentality. I think it is embedded in their DNA. They are perennial bottlers of the
Is this like
title.
Tottenham? Is this like Arsenal? Is it in
is.
that mode?
Yeah, that's
where the team just can't seem to rise up to the occasion.
Yes, it's genetics. Maybe when it comes to the genes, the genetic makeup of Dortmund, that is what they are used to. This is what
if I remember correctly, this is not the first time.
This is not the first time they've done this.
You know, I kind of disagree on the perennial bottlers thing.
Come
but
on,
I'll let Coach
For the
finish.
past 10, 11 years, you've not won the league for 10 good years.
Yeah.
And you throw this away, you're a perennial bottler. Because look, at the end of the day, look at the football on the day.
Yeah.
You go 2-0 down when you needed to win the game.
0 down in less than 30 minutes. And they had a chance to
Where's the
equalize.
character?
Yeah. And
Where's the belief?
17th minute, Sebastian. Is that a game-changing moment? I mean,
Look,
you are up.
He missed the penalty
Yep.
where they were a goal down.
Yeah.
In 17 minutes.
Yeah.
Or after 17 minutes. Look, if you really wanted this is the sort of thing that my Manchester United will never do. At Old Trafford. No more. Look, it will never be turned upside down. It will happen. Because at the end of the day, the players themselves will have to acknowledge the fact that history beckons. You should be remembered for this moment. You made sure that Bayern Munich will not win the league for the 11th
time.
consecutive times. That you see, there were so many
That's
factors.
unacceptable.
There were so many factors that they could have used to boost their intrinsic motivation and get them to step out there without even any coaching.
Yep.
At this level, you don't need it to be coached.
Yep.
There wasn't the need.
The
for
motivation was
anybody.
there.
It was there.
Yeah.
As a player.
Yeah.
Matt Hummels, Sule,
Marco Reus.
Michael Ross. Come on, as a player.
Yeah.
Ross, you've witnessed Bayern Munich win the league for the past 10 years. You've been there at Dortmund. So, what is it again? What at all do you guys wanted? Look, they are perennial.
The occasion got to them.
I think so, because this stats that they recorded the highest XG in the Bundesliga this season without winning. So their chances were there. They just couldn't take them. It's like on
They're
the
just
day
a
they
wasteful
froze.
team.
They froze. I think they
That
just
is
froze.
what, you see, what and who they are. Look,
But you see, the
is-
reason
But
I disagree is they usually don't even
they've
get.
done this multiple
They,
times.
no, they usually don't even get close. That's the thing.
no, so they usually don't get, but anytime they've gotten closer.
There have been occasions where they've led the league at a point and,
And then-
they've played bad games on the
Even
run
last season.
and let Bayern surpass them. I think it happened last
but
season.
they had an advantage. I think with about 4 games to go, they threw it
They
away.
threw it away. Yep.
This season,
I honestly-
this is the second time they've had this advantage.
Yeah.
You remember some few weeks ago,
Yes,
they
when
had
they-
the advantage
and
where
then
they
they
needed to
drew.
win. They drew.
Yep.
Then Bayern
Yep.
took over.
I think this particular Dortmund team doesn't have that because we've seen previous Dortmund teams win titles. I don't think it's a club thing. I think in recent years,
That was Shinji Kagawa.
the
and
last
Ro-
time they won
Ori
that's what I'm
Sahin
saying,
and
in
co.
was
think-
when they had Shinji Kagawa, Robert
that's what I'm saying.
Lewandowski.
It's-
Mkhitaryan
That's
and
what I'm
co.
saying. This is a recent
Yeah.
phenomenon in the club's history. I think previously,
Well-
before that, the club was able to get things done. I think this group of players, I think ever since Jurgen Klopp left,
Yeah.
all the managers who've come have not been able to instill a winning
And they've
mentality.
changed managers a lot since he
I
left.
think
Yes.
that's what I want. I don't want to say it's a club problem because
I'm saying it is a club
because
problem.
the club has been able to win things. I think that the
No.
recent managers have
You see,
struggled.
they will win things.
Yeah.
But truth be told, they should have won it a bit more.
True.
That is why
And
it is a club thing. Because look, even the big men.
And I would tend to agree a little with Coach because, look, we always seem to say that Bayern have created such a big gulf in quality with themselves and the other players. Some way, somehow, Dortmund always managed to make the league competitive, at least up to a certain stage, and then they just drop off, and then Bayern just...
One thing that has always been clear is the fact that almost every season, they tend to lose the 2 games they play against Bayern Munich.
Yes.
True.
So they tend to throw out, they tend to let go of 6 points to Bayern Munich. Yet still, it happened again this season.
They're
Surrendered
always in
6
their
points.
hands. Yep.
And you've come back,
Yeah.
you've crawled yourself back into the picture. And you've now led the league. On the final day, 2 points ahead of Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
You do this.
Yeah.
It's within your DNA.
I wonder what it is like in the dressing room after.
That's why I think the managers have let them down because
Terzic gets fired.
I don't think so. And that's the truth.
the manager
because-
for this?
Yeah.
No, he shouldn't get fired. Look, this one,
and they won't because their aim was we want top 4 or whatever.
Yeah, go to the Champions.
He's done what was expected of him. It's like saying that Arteta should get fired for what he's done. It's a similar thing, just because you were in that. But for me, Dortmund have done this twice. You're right. This season, there was a Bochum game and this game. And remember, we said a few weeks ago that we didn't believe they could do it. I was really hoping that would be wrong. I was really hoping.
And then
you were really praying they would prove you wrong.
No, because the league just doesn't look good.
To all those young players who are watching, let me just educate them a bit on the penalty that Ale took. Look, in such moment, it is better to pick a spot and hit it as hard as you can. You don't go and be a bit
try to finesse the ball.
Finesse the ball into the back. You don't do that.
That thing works when you have seen the keeper dive. But even the way he played, there was no,
there
was no guile about it.
If he had hit it, even direct, the keeper would dodge to enter the net. You see, when your adrenaline level is up to a certain stage, you don't drastically tend to calm it down under pressure. Let it stay there and act within the moment.
Within that
like embrace it.
Embrace it and act accordingly.
Don't try to be overly calm, overly.
This Bayern team, to go to Bayern, even this Bayern team has not been really convincing this season.
That's exactly why this is a shameful throwaway by Dortmund.
Some of the other seasons, you can see they
were very ruthless.
There's a significant points gap. But this season,
and that's why Dortmund will feel hard done by.
Because the fact is, this season was so poor. Oliver Kahn, CEO, and Hassan Salihamidzic, they've been sacked. They were still sacked.
They still won the league, but they've sacked them.
So it looked like their sacking was going to come regardless of whatever
happened.
And it was just, look, and for me, the fact that they couldn't even, if they had got one goal in the first half, I think they would have been able to turn it. And this is where I think the coach would come in. I think some of his changes, he took a bit long to bring on the guys who kind of were changing the game.
These are players who, on any other day, last week we saw Ale scored with cheeky ease. We saw
put him, and that's why I just think today it was the occasion too big for them. You know the whole town.
You know the whole town. They are prepared for their parade. I think they were walking through the town. They felt the pressure of about 1 million people on them, and they just said this.
It's very possible. You know that ground is really loud. It's very colorful.
And to be fair to the fans, after the game, it's not like they booed. They didn't get angry. They told the players, "We are proud of you." Blah 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 blah.
That's very civilized. That's very civilized.
They still told them that we are happy with your efforts. It's okay. We know you did your best. Those things, but media would have thrown a chair.
Look, I would have given it to them good time.
Borussia Dortmund live to fight another day. Bayern Munich will have them coming up in a bit. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we'll get you highlights of that Bayern Munich game. Sadio Mane finally winning some silverware. What does the future hold for him? We'll talk about that when we come back from the break. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. Let's get to that Bayern versus Cologne game. And Bayern, on winning this game, ensured that they won their 11th successive Bundesliga title. It's ridiculous at this point. Let's get to the highlights because Borussia Dortmund let it happen. Let's check this out. Look at Bayern Munich celebrating the title like it doesn't happen every other year. I mean, I'm asking if they don't get tired of doing this.
I wouldn't get tired if my team won.
I mean, winning is great.
Yeah, I don't think I'll get tired. Yeah. I think maybe I'd be frustrated if we are winning the league and we're not making progress in the Champions League. That might be frustrating.
But so, I mean, they managed to balance it out most of the time.
Yeah, I think they won the last one in 2020.
Yeah.
So I think maybe if it reaches 2025 and they haven't won, then they'll start getting a bit shaky.
Quick thoughts on Mane, though. What was supposed to be an oasis for his career after a turbulent period at Liverpool, again, has turned into a nightmare overnight for him. First was the injury problems and not really meshing with the group, and then the incident with Sané. Now, we've heard issues. I mean, we've heard Lothar Matthäus, who was in Ghana recently, say that he thinks that Mane's time at Bayern has come to an end. How do you feel about that? You think it's unsalvageable? And if it is, where are possible landing spots for him?
I think every situation is salvageable. I think it depends on the manager's willingness to play the player and the player's ability to take advantage of the chances you are given. I think
you don't think there's been a break with the group itself?
There's definitely a break with the group, but I think if the manager keeps playing you and you keep delivering, I think your teammates will warm up to you eventually. I think sometimes it will take a while for the trust to get back, but the trust can be salvaged. It's not like he's gone in the media and kind of said, these guys are all bums, I can't play with them, they don't know what they are doing. It's not to that level. I think this is a situation that there is. But for Bayern, they've paid a lot of money for him. They are paying him a lot high wages, so they expect a lot more of him. So I think for that reason alone and the investments they've put in, I think they'll be very reluctant to get rid of him so quickly, even though they are not happy with his first season. I think I can understand why they're disappointed. I think they thought he would take them to the next level, and we've not really seen that improvement.
Had a tumultuous season.
I think the part of the problem is that there are other forwards and wingers are not really performing to that higher standard. I think even Sane, they're a bit disappointed with him. Gnabry, he's inconsistent.
They could sell Sane from...
You see, all their forwards are inconsistent. Yeah. To the point that Choupo-Moting was the one who came in and steadied the ship for a while. And Choupo-Moting should be the guy who plays 15 games a season max. That's why he's there. He was there to back up Lewandowski. He wasn't there to become the main man. But he reached a point he was the main man and he was delivering the goals because the other guys were not kind of delivering. So I think Bayern are still trying to figure out who to kind of lean on, and they expected Mane to be that guy. He hasn't delivered, and maybe there's something they are seeing in training we are not seeing, that maybe he's not putting the effort. Maybe they can see that there's some physical decline. I don't know, but I would think that they would want to give it another chance. I think if you look at what they have, the kind of responsibility they want Mane to take, I think one season that he was injured a lot is unfair to judge him on that. I think if the injuries continue next season and his form doesn't pick up, then for sure, if he has a season like he did this season, I think for sure he has to go. I think that's clear enough. But if next season he comes in, we see the Mane we saw at Liverpool at times, the Mane that was Mane to finish second in Ballon d'Or voting, the Mane that won his country the AFCON, if that Mane shows up 70-80% of the time for Bayern, I think they will think that he's worth keeping.
Coach, just to, even dovetail into what he just said, is Mane still at that Ballon d'Or nominee level? Is he still at that high level where Bayern can expect him to be a team leader? That's if they want to keep him at all, or if you think he should be staying at all?
You see, he's a very good player. No two ways about that. He's an excellent player. What most people are not getting is that the quality of the two leagues has had a toll on him. His injury didn't help the situation. Before Mane to show everybody that he's indeed still at that Ballon d'Or level, then Bayern Munich need to be performing in the Champions League. And at the time they got booted out, he had just come back from an injury situation. So before his injury, he was doing very
decent,
well. He was very decent in the setup. So he got injured, and we all saw the way the entire Bayern Munich hierarchy responded or reacted when he got injured. They all didn't like it because at that time he was playing very, very well. He came back at the time where he felt that having not been at the World Cup, having recovered quickly, the coach should have given him enough playing time, and the coach was playing him 2 minutes, 5 minutes. So I quite remember there was the story that say he confronted Nagelsmann at the time and said, look, man, I am back, I'm fit. Until I got injured, I was one of your main men. Why are you not playing me? And I think that didn't go down well actually with the hierarchy of Bayern Munich.
And apparently his teammates also didn't like
and the teammates also didn't like that. I think, and they said that.
You can't get injured, come back and expect to walk back into the team.
Yes, and that was so...
Brought a lot of friction.
Exactly.
And then the Sane incident also happened.
Also, for the Sane incident, look, Mane is not a violent guy. Look, what we are not being told
is the real situation that led to that.
Look, I can bet my last peswa that for him to have done that, not in support of him throwing his hand, no, I don't support that.
But you think
something must have
somebody must have crossed the line?
No, exactly. they did say that it got heated. I think they were frustrated. Look, they thought they wanted to challenge for the Champions League, and Citi kind of played them off the park in the first leg, and you struggle in the second leg.
And
so they were upset.
In that first leg, there were moments in that game where when they were a goal down, don't forget that they were a goal down when Mane was introduced into the game. There were two very good balls that Leroy Sané had that he should be passing. But from 30, 35 yards, he was striking that goal, and that didn't go down well.
Poor decision making.
He came back, he apologized. He's apologized to the group. They've accepted. So I agree 100% with what Sosu is saying, that it would be very disappointing if they were to let him go because of what happened. Patch up and give him another opportunity. Don't
because
forget, he's on huge salary.
Yep, and there's a new era of Bayern coming. Remember, like we said, Oliver Kahn, Salihamidzic are
They've
gone.
been sacked.
They'll obviously be replaced by more Bayern Munich people.
And allow, whether he leaves or not, should be a decision taken by Thomas Tuchel. If he doesn't think he fits into the game plan, they should put him on the market. And look, and I'm very sure if they were to decide to put him on the market, there'll be lots of shooters.
I'm hearing a lot of Newcastle United in the
Why not?
I think right now Newcastle are the team everybody links the top players.
It'll be a big upgrade on everybody they have.
They're a Champions League team now, and we all know that they have more money than anyone else.
Yeah.
So I think everyone wants to throw players to Newcastle, but whether they're interested in those players is a different thing. But I understand. And I just want to say something. I feel like a lot of players are in similar situations to Mane in the sense that you might have some issues with your club. There's a new manager. You'll be surprised.
Lukaku's one of them.
Lukaku's a good example. You'll be surprised that the new manager, he'll say, look, let's put the past in the past.
I'm about to have pre-season.
And the players will perform. Because I think if you are looking at some of these teams, you paid a lot of money for certain players. You can't be quick to get rid of them because of a season that has gone wrong.
At the end of the day, nobody may even pay over £30 million for him.
Yep.
You'll be forced to loan him and pay part of his salary.
Yeah.
So you better keep him because he's that good.
A lot of decisions to be made. Let's get to the championship. We don't typically do this, but there was a big promotion playoff game on the cards. Coventry were up against Luton Town, and guess what? Luton Town have sealed a ticket to the Premier League for the first time in their history. So it's big for them. They were the original part of the league that was formed, but they've been wallowing in the lower divisions as recently as 2014. They were in the English 5th tier. They are the Premier League now. Means that they need to upgrade their training or their stadium facility. A lot going on around the club, but the most important thing is that they've sealed that all-important ticket. Let's get to the highlights of that championship game. We'll come back in studio and discuss. That penalty, man. Come on, man.
You see, again, like I said,
it reminds me of
he was the
Solly
only
match.
player who decided not to hit it hard.
Yeah.
They want to caress the ball into the back of the net. So at this level, the best, if you are not a Leo Messi, who is even in the World Cup, look at Mbappe. You watch Mbappe's
very hard-driven penalties, yep.
Martinez had a hand on it.
You can't catch it, there's too much power.
You need to be a Messi to be able to calm your nerve, to go simple and soft into the back of the net. But look, this is by far the richest game on earth.
Yep.
Because the money involved, you will put your life on the line to make sure, he doesn't pass you by.
And you have to remember, even if you get relegated, there's something they call parachute payments,
Yes.
where there's a kind of
Buffer
a bit
for
of Premier League money they'll give you for a few years because they've assumed that you started living at a Premier League standard, so you need to kind of maintain. So even if you go back,
how the rich leagues
This game is over 100 million. This game
advantage.
is over 100 million.
You're about to say something in regard to the penalty.
No, I think the penalties, it was a lot of quality. I think coach is right.
Yes.
People pick their spots.
And
And I want to go to something that we've noticed with the Black Stars. In fact, all Ghanaian teams, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Our penalties are not good. And right now, penalties, there is data and science. It's data and science because the keepers know who is going where. Because you saw, if you remember the Brighton Manchester United penalty shootout, the keepers were going the right way very regularly, but they couldn't reach it because the players too also knew that.
They've also done their research.
Listen,
You
if
go
you
there.
People are coming with stats on the bottle and whatnot.
if you put a penalty in the top corner, you have a 99% chance of it going in. So everyone is aiming for the top corner. So the keeper can't.
But how good is your technique?
Exactly.
Can you execute?
Exactly. But my point is, everyone is doing data and analysis. Penalties right now, that penalty shootout is a lottery thing. It is not true anymore.
It's not true.
We are past that point in football. Right now, it's about the team which is the best prepared and the most mentally stable to execute. So right now, and I feel bad for the guy because you could see that he had the idea that he wanted to kind of put in the top corner, but I think his technique let him down a bit.
Yeah, his heart must have been pounding a little more than accepted. So, welcome Luton Town to the Premier League. So it's set at Sheffield United, it's Luton Town, and it's Burnley Football Club, newly promoted teams to the English Premier League. Talking about the Premier League, let's get into it right about now, and let's start off with a slew of games. Brentford managed to get a last day win over Manchester City. I'm sure Man City have their eyes on their cup finals coming up. And then there was also Everton Football Club with that all-important 3 points at Goodison Park against AFC Bournemouth. Back-to-back highlights. Let's check it out. Welcome back. And not to even spend too much time on that Manchester City-Brentford game, Man City obviously have their eyes on the cup final, but quick thoughts on Thomas Frank and the work he's done with Brentford throughout the season. What's your evaluation of him so far? You think that he will come back for another season with Brentford, or he's done enough to attract interest from other teams?
It depends on the brand of football the owners will want to see. This is a manager who has his philosophy, and he believes in that. So if you are an owner who appreciates the way he goes about his thing, he's one of the best in the business, because without a doubt, they don't play the fancy stuff. They are well drilled, believe in a certain pattern of play, stick to the game plan, stick to our style of football, and they will go and win it. They are a very physical team. They like to indulge in those physical battles. If possible, get it out. They don't build from the back. Nope, there's no time
Direct
for that.
Long ball.
See the mistake ahead of you and let it go.
Take you on the run.
It's as simple as that. They have a striker who's been banned for like 8 months. Is it Tony?
Tony.
Yes.
20 goals this season.
20 goals. They've got target men, so they play to their strength. And that is his way of doing. Look, believe you me, I think if I'm to choose manager of the season, it will be a straight fight between him, Roberto De Zerbi, and the Newcastle manager.
Eddie Howe.
Yeah, these three would have been the three I would have picked a manager of the season from, because of what actually, look, I will even not include Eddie Howe. I hear Roberto De Zerbi. Look at what they have to work with. Nobody gave them any chance. Roberto came somewhere after the season had started when Graham Potter left, I think after the first some month or so. He came in there. He didn't start so well. I think he lost his first three or four games. All of a sudden, then they started doing things his way. Look at where he's gotten them down. He's gotten them to the Europa League.
First season in the club's history.
Let's talk about Everton and surviving today. Not the most outstanding performance, but tidy enough to get the job done. Abdoulaye Doucouré coming through with a big goal, probably the most important goal of his career to save them. 1954 is the last time they were not in the Premier League, so it's hard to imagine the Premier League without Everton. And today, I mean, after flirting with relegation twice in a row, they managed to save their campaign again.
Yeah, I mean, Everton are football royalty in that sense. Like, look, they've been in the top flight longer than Manchester United. Listen, apart from Arsenal, they've been in the top flight longer than any team you can think of. Just name them.
So there you have the Doucouré goal there.
That's who they are. But I don't think they've used it that well. I think they had a nice period in the 80s where they were winning titles. And that's it. They just have not done enough. And I think the club is very poorly run. They are one of the few clubs that has FFP issues. There's all these issues. Look, I don't understand what they are doing at Everton, because for a club of their size and the amount of money they have and the time they spend in the Premier League, they shouldn't be struggling financially. And they shouldn't be having to do this dance every year. I think 2 years is enough. I think if we are back here next year, it just shows that the club
have showed us that you can't afford to do this 3 years running.
Yeah, you can't be doing this dance, because eventually it tells.
Their problem, in my view, has always come from the top. If you give the job to a coach like Roberto and the former
Carlo Ancelotti,
Benitez,
Rafa Benitez, you don't panic. Benitez was given this job. He started so well. Then
hit a rough patch.
His key players all got injured. He hit a rough patch. Then you panic.
And went for Frank Lampard.
Then you went for Frank Lampard. What did you see in Lampard for you to go for him? Okay, you went for him, and then you hope that he will stabilize the ship.
I mean, Benitez's connection to Liverpool meant that
the fans
didn't like him.
They succumbed to fan pressure, because the fans never wanted him there.
Exactly.
And so the moment results turned, the
fans said, we told you.
We told you.
But you see, that is why they are decision makers. You have to take the decision. Having said that, should they stick with Sean Dyche? Or they brought in him to do a job, he's gotten the job done, then they should go and do something different. believe you me, look, from the way this league is going on, I will stick to Sean Dyche because he understands the dynamic of this league.
Most importantly, I think he knows how to work with a lean budget.
With the lean budget.
Now, and Everton don't look like they're about to spend any money.
Exactly. Allow him the chance to build his team. I hear people like Jeremina and co are leaving because he's put up a video out there that suggested that this was his last game for the team. All those who are not up there and wanted to let them leave. Believe in Sean Dyche.
He'll bring in his
Allow
own
him
players.
to buy his own players. He will steady the ship.
About to
a
become
year
barely
or two.
2.0.
A year or two, if the ship, I think they are even thinking of selling the club. Maybe get a new owner who want to do things different and then the team can. But that goal from Abdullah Dakore is befitting of a goal to make Everton stay in the Premiership.
I think coach is right. I think Sean Dyche, what hurt him at Burnley towards the end was the lack of investment, but also at the confusion at board level because the season before they got relegated, they changed owners.
Yes.
And as the owners changed, there was a bit of confusion. So their summer transfer window was a bit bizarre. And when that summer transfer window was untidy and uncoordinated, it affected their ability to survive.
Exactly.
And then that's why they eventually sacked him and all of that. So if he comes and Everton have way more money than Burnley. If he has a bit more resources,
they're building a new stadium.
And they're a bit more streamlined in their thinking. I think he can do a very good job. Because remember, Sean Dyche has had Burnley playing in Europe before. Let's not forget
with free agents and loanees.
So I think Sean Dyche I really rate Sean Dyche. I think Sean Dyche is a very
He's
good
a brilliant manager.
But I thought that this job was a bit too big, in the sense that it's not about his quality, but
they had difficult fixtures.
There's difficult, and there's a lot of chaos going on. And luckily for them, as I always say, you don't have to be the best.
Remember, their owner is a Russian oligarch. He's had
one of their partners, Usmanov. Yes. So I was thinking that all of these things would be difficult. And look, if I'm being honest, when I look at some of the matches they've played, how they've won their games, some of these like long range goals and things, it's a bit lucky, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
At the end of the day,
they've done what they needed to do. So I think coach is right. Sean Dyche should be given more time. I think he can get something out of the team. And I don't even think it should just be a year or two. I think if he's given the money and the resources.
It depends on the owner. It depends on who the
we'll see the results.
Who's majority owner?
Farid Mushiri. I think they are trying to sell it to an American company.
America's about to take over the Premier League.
When they take the team, they don't do well. They don't want to sell my team. They're
about to take over the Premier League as things stand up.
They're the people with money, so they're the ones buying all the teams.
Let's talk about Manchester United's season. They ended the season on a high note, beating Fulham. I thought Fulham should have been doing better, presented stiffer opposition. But in all, United's season has come to an end. A time to evaluate everything that's happened so far.
The season hasn't come to an end.
They have a cup final. Pardon me. They have a cup final to play, but the Premier League has come to an end. I think that a lot of the evaluation is being. I'm hearing that Phil Jones is finally about to exit the club.
No, he's gone. He's said goodbye already.
Who else should leave the club? I mean, I feel like it's about to be a wholesale sort of exodus from United because they need to do a serious rebuild, but is that what it should be? Is that not dangerous?
No. There's nothing dangerous about that because first and foremost, we want to congratulate Erik ten Hag. He's done better. He's made United 17 points better than last season.
Massive.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Close to 6 games better off than last season. United 9 off Arsenal, 14 off Man City, 4 better than Newcastle, 8 better than Liverpool. That is how far.
I can't believe you remember.
You
remember the difference.
Of course. That's how far Erik ten Hag has brought this team. He's gotten the team Champions League football.
Yeah.
He's won 1 domestic cup already. He's in another domestic cup final. So it sums up the work the manager and
the
staff
squad has been very thin as well.
And
we have to give him credit because the squad has been a bit thin.
Because he's led the likes of Bayi, Telej, Ahmad, a lot of players go on loan.
Yeah.
Now, you spoke about who should go and who should stay. He's going to be ruthless. Already, players like Twanzebe, Phil Jones, who were all on salary for no work done.
On the fringes.
They've all been asked to leave. Once your contract is up, you have to go. Now, Williams, Maguire, Scott McTominay, even Fred himself, Asobei, Telles and Co.
They are goners.
They are goners. Because the man said, just some few minutes after guaranteed Champions League football, he said, if we want to compete with the pace setters, he personally referred to Manchester City. We want to compete with them. United need better players. That statement alone is an indictment to the team. So if you're a player and you are not an integral member of the setup,
you need to look at yourself again.
Clearly, he was referring to. So the likes of Maguire, who's been on the periphery.
Even some of the starters can be improved upon.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That the likes of Maguire, who's been on the periphery, we have to let go. United did not replace Cristiano Ronaldo. They didn't replace Edison Cavani. So, truth be told, 2 strikers should be bought in. An established one and a young striker. Defender, at least 1 centre back. Then another DM who can play the role of Casemiro if he's not around. But in the big game, you cannot put Casemiro alone at Anfield, at the Etihad, at the Emirates, at Anfield. He'll get run right. Get somebody like Moise Caicedo.
Yes. It's about to be a bidding war for that guy.
Of course.
A lot to talk about. We'll take another break. Even Mason Greenwood could be reintegrated by next season. Who knows? There's a lot to chew on as far as off-season plans are concerned. But let's take another break here. When we come back, we'll look at Kamaldeen's final, or what could be his final Premier League audition. He chose the last game of the season against Liverpool to show us what he really is about. Too little, too late. Will he go to the Championship? Will he be picked up? A lot of questions, a lot to still chew on Scorecard. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. Let's get to that game between Southampton and Liverpool Football Club. It was a good game for Kamaldeen. Remember, Southampton have already been relegated. Liverpool were saying bye-bye to Roberto Firmino. It was, I'm probably sure, final games or Liverpool day for a lot of other players as well who might not even have played in the game. But let's check out the highlights of that game. We'll come back in studio and discuss. Welcome back. So, very interesting game there. Kamaldeen especially, coach, 2 goals to his name on the final day of the league. Still going to play in the Championship or not?
Look, on the face of this performance, he gets an offer to stay in the Premier League.
Was it that pivotal?
I mean, look, that's on the face of this. But of course, I wouldn't make a judgment on this. I would have looked at him holistically.
Okay.
I would have looked at his entire season and see what level of consistency does he bring to the party. That has been his biggest problem.
I mean, one would say Liverpool had secured Europa League.
Yes,
they had
that's
checked
what I'm
out
saying.
Intensity-wise. They had
everything
rotated the team and
everything was
that.
gone. So you need to look at the season as a whole. I was just not happy when he signed for Southampton. You remember that program? I've said it several times. And I've been vindicated because I was afraid that he's going to a team that will get relegated. And I even said that he's not the sort of player Southampton as a club, if they really wanted to rescue themselves from not being relegated, they should be because he's by far their most expensive player.
Their record signing.
Their record signing. You should be making a player your record signing on the grounds that if you are in any form of difficulty, you can turn to him and get him to rescue the situation. Kamaldeen never guaranteed that. So I preferred that he had gone somewhere else to RB Leipzig, where his development, in my view,
even Everton would have
been better.
Too chaotic. I think it would have also been a similar situation. They could have easily gone down.
Exactly. But I think he should have gone to RB Leipzig, where the development would not be hindered, but he will gradually play and warm himself into the Bundesliga. There may be 2-3 seasons from now, then he comes to the Premiership. But it's unfortunate that he's a very good player, talented player, not having too much end product to his game week in, week out. That is why he's going to find himself in the Championship. But look, if there's any player they want to look up to help them come back to the Premier League, he should be there. He's their record signing. They've showed him love. It's time for him to reciprocate the love they've given to him and let him stay and see how, maybe give it another chance.
Yeah.
The championship is equally more difficult in terms of intensity, in terms of physicality, in terms of so many things. It is the quality in terms of technique and the coaching that is very different. But if he can cut it, in the championship, I think that the Premier League teams would have identified him there, and they will restore his Premier League status.
And to add to that, we've seen a lot of kind of players who have done good work in the championship and come to the Premier League and impress. I think Bowen is one of the most recent examples of someone who was doing very well for Hull City. West Ham picked him up, and we are seeing his quality. So I don't even Ben Rama. A good example. He did very well at Brentford. We saw Ollie Watkins also did well at Brentford, got picked up from Aston Villa. So there's a pathway there. So there's nothing wrong with playing the championship. If you're a good player in the championship, and if you look at his talent and the quality and the potential, if he goes to the championship, if he can get maybe 10 goals, 15 assists, or 15 goals and 10
I think he
10
comes
assists,
back straight to the Premier
if he does that, and he comes back to the Premier League, or he just goes down and comes back, he opens up his market. Because look at someone like Danjuma we saw for Villarreal. Another example. When he was in the Premier League, he struggled, went to the championship, scored 15 goals, got picked up by Villarreal, and we saw him take them to a Champions League semi-final.
The recent one is the Man United Ivorian boy.
Amad Diallo.
He's gone. He went to the championship with Sunderland.
Brilliant.
He's been brilliant. Eric Ten Hag has told him that he will be given his chance to prove himself.
And look, we are looking at the Man U team. The forward line, there's spaces, there's room. Because if you have maybe Rashford on the left, then Sancho is back
he
up.
can
then
be a direct competitor to Anthony.
Anthony and Ahmad on the right. And then you're also thinking, Mason Greenwood might come back. Is he playing on the right? Is he playing through the middle? So I think proving yourself in the championship is a good thing, especially if you want to play in the Premier League, because Premier League teams also like to get players from the championship, because already it means you probably already speak English, you're already settled in the country, so it's not as big a leap. So I think the championship is a very good opportunity, and even financially, if that's what he's worried about, I think the only leagues that pay better than the championship would be Europe's top 5 leagues. I don't think Portugal pays better than the Champions League. I think the only thing you get...
championship teams might even pay better than some League R teams.
Exactly. You probably get more money in the championship than in Portugal and maybe the lower half of France. But when you're playing in Portugal, there's the fact that you're playing in the top 5 league. There's a chance to play in Europe and those type of things. So I think the championship is a very attractive prospect you should seriously consider.
Kamal Dean, I hope you are watching or listening. Let me read some messages coming through. King Selassie from Adenta says that Dortmund is the Arsenal branch in Germany. So no, Man United will beat Man City in the FA Cup final. Go, Man United, you say. Kofi from Kaswa says, what Dortmund did can never be compared to Arsenal this season. Dortmund far worse than Arsenal, giving away the title to Man City, okay? Kili Kwame from Adenta says, the Lampard horror show has finally come to an end. I can breathe easy now. I know Chelsea will bounce back better next season. Daniel Terksen from Cape Coast says, interesting end to the EPL season. Credits to Arsenal for returning to the Champions League and Bayern for winning the Bundesliga. Again, this one here is from Maxwell from Kwabenya, says, greetings to Coach and Graham. The best thing to happen in football this season was for Aston Villa to sack Steven G and employ Unai Emery, and now European football has returned to Villa Park after 13 years. I'm delighted to be a Villa fan. So Max from Kwabenya is a Villa fan.
I think
big shout out to you.
Max, that's a good shout. I think Emery has done...
He's also done a wonderful job.
I always reference this. I had an argument with my cousin that when I look at this Aston Villa team, they should be challenging for a European place. But I thought Gerrard was underachieving. So the fact that Emery has come in and got them in Europe, I feel that...
The irony is that Gerrard at a point made everybody feel like the players in the squad were not good enough. That's actually how crazy it was. He came, Unai Emery came in,
and it's
and the team turned around.
Because if I remember correctly, when he was Rangers manager, they were decent. They were decent. No, but I'm saying even when he went to the Europa League, they had some decent performances.
All the way to the final.
I don't think they got to the final with him, but they were making progress. Like they were competitive.
They went to the final the season after he left.
So it's not like they were a bad team. So I'm surprised he struggled so much in the Premier League. But maybe it's because he's not pragmatic. Maybe that's his, maybe because he's used to dominating games, having to kind of be on the back foot a bit, he couldn't adjust.
Let's get to our final 2 Premier League highlights for the season. First of all, we'll get Leeds United getting hammered at Elland Road by Spurs, a result that sealed their fate. And then Arsenal choosing the last day against Wolves to score 5 goals and keep a clean sheet. One will be wondering, where were these goals when you needed them? Back-to-back highlights, check them out. So Leeds United at home, Elland Road, getting dumped out of the Premier League. Arsenal Football Club having a big day. Coach,
yeah.
Leeds, what, 2 seasons in the league?
3.
Or 3 seasons. Marcelo Bielsa getting fired, bringing in Jesse March getting fired, Javi Gracia. Absolute mess.
This is a problem caused by the men at the top. Yeah. They must hold themselves.
They fired their sporting director as well.
Exactly. They must hold themselves solely responsible. This is a big team that
they were in the wilderness for 20 years.
20 years. And then they come back, and then within the space of 3 years, they've gone back to the championship. And for me, it is sad because, look, I enjoy Leeds United being in the Premiership.
Yeah.
The days of Anthony, Yeboah, and Co. I enjoy them because they are a direct rival to Manchester. So I always look forward
Harry
to...
Kewell and Mark Viduka.
Exactly.
Yeah, those were good days.
And for me, you look back at the decision to sack Marcelo Bielsa. Was it justified? I said yes. He's by far one of my best managers. I like him because he doesn't like taking up the easy job. He always wants to take up the job that most people wouldn't take up and try and lay his mark on the team.
He's Uruguay coach now.
So. Yeah, he's now the coach of Uruguay. Now, when you sack a coach of that caliber, then you need to get it right. But look at the number of times they got it wrong.
Clearly, ironically, they sacked him and then they reinforced the team. Because when he was conceding a lot of goals, he kept saying that, his squad was thin, his best striker was injured.
For me, I'll say, when I look at a lot of the Leeds team, especially the defenders, they're the same, because when he came, remember, they were a mid-table championship team.
Yeah.
The defense had barely changed by the time they had gone to the Premier League. A-Link was still there. Cooper was still there.
Dallas.
So a lot of those players were mid-table championship players without Bielsa. So for me, when I saw them struggling, I didn't see why people were so on his case. The squad was not good. They've reinforced, but they didn't even reinforce in the right areas. But I don't think they reinforced the defense. They got midfielders, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, a lot of wingers and attackers. But they never
avoided the one problem they had.
The truth is, you have to be honest, Melie is part of the problem.
No, don't blame him.
I know.
He's a young goalkeeper.
But you see, Coach, you've been
if you
saying
have
this
a young goalkeeper at them, you need to protect him better.
But Coach, you've been saying this
Melie
for 3
is
years.
I think, look, he's a very good goalkeeper. At his age,
6'5",
he
left-footed goalkeeper.
But if you look at most of the goals he conceded, were goals that he could do nothing about.
But Coach, you see, the reason I don't want to, we've been saying this for 3 years. We said this is first, you said
you
this
just
second
said
season.
that.
He's part of the problem.
But as a goalkeeper, he will always be part of the problem when those in front of you are that bad. David De Gea was exposed week in, week out when he had Maguire, Lindelof in front of him for years.
Yeah.
Now, Eric Ten Hag comes, he brings in, he came to meet Varane, he boosted the defender with
Martinez.
Today is the Golden Glove winner.
You do have a point.
Man United have considered only 9 goals at Old Trafford this season. 9 goals. It's because of those in front of him.
To be fair to Melie, he's always been really highly rated. But like I say,
he makes a lot of mistakes, even with playing the ball, missing things.
You see, how I wish if the people are united, if Ten Hag is watching, if there's any goalkeeper out there who understands the EPL, who should be understanding David De Gea,
it should be him.
I'll pay the money and bring him. In 2 years' time, he'll be world class.
Big call on Melie.
I don't disagree with Coach that there's potential there. But he's consistently been making the mistakes.
That is why you don't get him to carry the burden at his younger age.
Fair enough. Let's finish off with basketball. Let's get to the NBA playoffs. We have just about a couple of minutes to go. Let's get to the action between the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. It was Game 6 in Miami. The Heat just needed to win this game, and they would have been in the NBA Finals. The Boston Celtics say, we have history on our hands. We want to be able to get to the finals also. Remember, the Celtics were in the final last year. So big game for the Celtics. Derek White coming through in the clutch at the buzzer. I was so close, they had to review it again to see if the ball left his hand before the buzzer went.
See, for me, I think Gabe Vincent got hit, and you know the playoff rotations are very, it's very light. There's probably 8 or 9 players.
He came back for this game, actually.
He came out, but those 2 games he missed, it's been a problem.
Yeah.
So now he's back. They get a bit better. Because look, if the ball bounces in the other direction, Derek White doesn't get to it, and Miami, it's a close game. Some of these games, it's unfair to analyze in the sense that you did this wrong, when it's that close. But I think Miami have really let themselves down in this series, in the sense that when you have a 3-0
you don't
lead,
take a 3-0
They
lead.
3-0 and throw it away.
I think some of the games to have been close. But I think that's also the fact that the Celtics have also made some adjustments. And the truth is, the Celtics were heavily favored going into this. Even when it was 3-0, if you looked at the kind of percentage odds and stuff, it's almost like Miami were slight favorites despite being 3-0 up. And it's been shown by the fact that we are in Game 7. And looking at the fact that Game 7 is in Boston, I'm afraid for Miami. I really am. I think they might be the first team to throw away a 3-0 lead. And to be fair to Miami, they've had one of the best playoff improvements we've seen in recent years. Look, they had the 21st best offensive rating in the regular season. In their playoffs, they've had one of the best. They've improved
their
game.
They have a key player out injured in Tyler Hero.
Exactly.
They've had role players playing.
And they've basically, everyone has stepped up.
They have exceeded expectations.
And look, and we have to say that's credit to Eric Spoelstra. I think Eric Spoelstra is very underrated because I think he won his championships with LeBron and D Wade and Chris Bosh. So people think that, he had star players. But we've seen him time and time again keep the Heat in the playoffs. Even when, and right now, if you look at the Heat are not an all-star team. Look, a lot of their key contributors are undrafted players.
But they are still getting the business done.
They are still getting it done. So I think, look,
Boston in 7, Heat in 7.
I actually told someone I thought Boston in 7 because I think that when you look at what Miami are doing, they are shooting too hot. I think they are a good team, but they are not that as good as we've seen in the playoffs.
They've reached their limits.
I think overachieved. Another good example is the Milwaukee series. They were not supposed to win that series in 5 games, but they did. So I think Boston in 7 is very and look, now it's a Game 7, so it's a 50-50. All you have to do is get it right. But I still felt that Boston was supposed to win this series. So it's rather, even if Miami do win, do lose in 7, I think it's a great effort from them. I think Boston are just doing what they are meant to do. And I don't think we should clap for them for the comeback because they put themselves in that situation in the first place.
Well, that's what it is on the Heat. I've never seen Eric Spoelstra ever lose his cool like he did in the post-game presser of Game 6. He said, I don't know how we are going to do it, but we are going to go over there to Boston and get the job done. I really hope he can walk the talk. But that's it from us here. Thank you very much, Coach Christopher Nimi. Thank you very much to Sue Graham. And thank you, everybody who took time to send us messages. Anybody who took time to watch the show as well. We appreciate it. We'll have little bits of it on YouTube for you so you can watch. We'll have a repeat of this show again for you tomorrow at 1 p.m. So look out for it as well. Until then, same time next week, Scorecard will be back on your screens.